Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Barthen. I'm the Township Manager. Until we have a temporary board chair appointed, I will be opening the meeting to just get us moving through this process. In some cases, this Township Solicitor would do that function. Right now, we do not have a Township Solicitor, so I'll just be filling in just until we get the first people appointed temporarily. First order of business, I call the meeting to order, and let's have the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next order of business would be the swearing in of our new board member, Mr. Hughes.
Can I remove my map to the top? Have you raise your right hand? I
David Hughes,
do solemnly swear. Just repeat after me.
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of Township Supervisor
the duties of Township Supervisor
in Exeter Township,
in Exeter Township,
Berks County,
Berks County,
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Now you need to sign here as the official, and then I'll date it and I'll hand it to the. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Thank you. That was great.
That was great.
That's the way.
There you go. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, we will continue with the roll call. Ms. Reeser?
Here.
Mr. Staples?
Here.
Ms. Kircher?
Here.
Mr. Bell?
Here.
And Mr. Hughes?
Here.
Okay. We need to appoint a temporary board chairperson. At this time, I'm looking to take nominations for a temporary chair.
I nominate Carl Staples.
I'll second that nomination.
Are there any other nominations for temporary chair? Okay. All those in favor of Carl Staples, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, Mr. Staples, you are the temporary chair, and you can take over the meeting, make the appointment of a township temporary secretary, and then we'll move on from there.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett. At this time, we'll entertain nominees for the appointment of temporary township secretary.
I'll nominate Jeff Bartlett to do that function.
I'll second that nomination.
Are there any other nominations? If not, does everyone agree with that?
Aye.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay? 4-1. All right, now the next nomination is to elect a chairperson for the board.
I'd like to nominate Carl Staples as the chairperson.
Here we go.
Is there a second?
I'd like to nominate David Hughes.
I'll second Carl.
There's no seconds, we vote on the, you can have as many nominees as you want, you don't second it.
Okay.
We then vote.
Are there any other nominees for board chair? So all of those in favor of Carl Staples?
Aye. No.
No.
Well, you can vote for yourself.
So there's 3. All those in favor of David Hughes?
Aye.
Aye.
3 votes to 2.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment about this stuff, if you don't mind. I find it very unusual that we put the most powerful person in the chair who has not been elected by the township. We've been placed on the board by Pie-Ho and Skeese and Voltaire. We were not elected, and yet we're putting you in the chair. I think that's a serious issue in this township. And that's all I'm gonna say on the subject.
Thank you for your comments. Next on the organization is nominate and elect a vice chair for the board. Are there any nominations? I'll nominate George Bill.
I would second that nomination.
You don't need a second.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations
I
for?
nominate Michelle Kircher.
Okay.
I think she's earned it. She's got a lot of experience here. George is a working guy. Michelle and myself and yourself are retired. I think it makes more sense having Michelle in there, so I nominate her.
Question from the floor?
It just shouldn't matter if the person works or not.
We speak up louder.
I said it shouldn't matter if the person is working or not.
Vinny, I got a question from the floor.
Yes, I'd like to know why, with all Michelle's experience, she was not mentioned as chair. I mean, this is unbelievable. I've come in here for years and years, and she's been on the board for years, so I don't understand why she was not mentioned as chair. She is the most experienced, so some kind of game is going on here, and I thought we were done with the games for a while.
Not done. Not done.
So I would like to see a vote again, and I would like to see a reasonable vote.
No, just because you didn't get the outcome doesn't mean you get to do it over.
This isn't open for discussion, sir. We'll have to remove him if you don't.
Try.
So we have two names for vice chair, George Bell and Michelle Carter. So all those for George Bell say aye.
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 For Michelle Carter,
Aye.
Wow.
Mr. Bell. At this point, we're at public comments. Mr. Bancom, you're the first one.
But mine's on
They're
non-agenda.
not non-agenda. All right, then there are no public comments before the agenda starts. The next appointment is in the staff area, and it's the Chief Administrative Officer. And the recommendation for that is Mr. Bartlett.
So I'd like to make a comment before we do anything on that. I was doing some research on past, what's going on in the past. And back in 2016, there was an ordinance number 767, which had multiple changes with the authority of the township manager, which included having the chief of police report to the township manager. And then there was a title change at the same time. One, I was trying to find the ordinance prior to this change to see what the duties of the township manager were prior to changing the responsibilities I would like to propose that the chief of police be reporting to the Board of Supervisors, which would then also require a change to ordinance number 768, which redefined the duties and the powers of the police chief. So I'm just throwing that out there before anything is voted upon.
We're not here to do that tonight, number one. Number two, that ordinance was derived from our old corrupt township manager. And Mr. Jeff Bartlett doesn't have any experience managing the police officers. The chief of police, this gentleman right next to me, should be reporting to the board, not to the township manager.
That's exactly what I said.
What you just proposed.
That's what I said.
But it's not here, it's not
I'm
something
saying-
we're doing tonight, okay?
Understood, but what I'm saying, Mr. Hughes, is that before we make a decision on and reappointing Mr. Bartlett with the title of Chief Administrative Officer, that we re-examine the ordinance which gives him the power to be having the chief of police report to
That's
him.
fine, but we can't do that today. We still have to assign a chief administrative officer tonight, okay? So we could do those things at the next meeting, but not tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on that, because there's
Fine.
certain things that have to be done at the reorg meeting. That is not necessarily one of them, but I guess we'll agree to disagree on that.
So we'll move forward with, to appointing Mr. Bartlett as Chief Administrative Officer. All those in favor say aye.
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 Next up is.
They,
Can we put, I would like to move to make sure that on the agenda for the next meeting, that ordinance is revisited.
So are we going to go to the temporary secretary job? Where you want to go next?
Yes, we haven't discussed further salary or anything for the secretary position. Previously, it was combined with another administrative position. At this point, I would recommend
We table it?
to table the secretary position and to appoint Ms. Stevens as assistant secretary in the role that she currently has, and have her continue that until we determine the final outcome of the secretary.
Okay. So at this point, we would go to the assistant secretary, and the recommendation is Tina Stevens, who is currently in the role. All in favor, say aye.
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 Next is the,
they.
sorry, all opposed is one nay. Are you a nay?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Said opposed is Mr. Hughes.
Well, I'm the assistant secretary. I said aye.
No, I'm saying, we have 4-1. Township treasurer is the next role. And the recommendation is Jennifer Savage. Is there any conversation or discussion? All in favor of Jennifer Savage or township treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
I'm an aye.
And the bond limit on the treasurer is still set at $5 million. Okay. Open records officer, recommendation is Tina Stevens. All in favor say aye.
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 Assistant open records officer, recommendation is Jeff Bartlett. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Emergency management coordinator, Sergeant David Vince. All in favor say aye.
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 Post municipal landfill inspector, Will Bruger is the recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we come to the professional consultant. The first one up is the township supervisor. We had 3 people to 3 organizations to apply or reply to the RFQ. So you want to talk about those for a moment?
Yes, the board requested that we put a request for proposal out seeking a new township solicitor. We received 3 applications by the deadline last Thursday. I reviewed the applications. All 3 of the companies meet our minimum requirements that were set forth. The 3 companies is Tucker Hull LLC, Grimvine and Thatcher, and Kozloff Stout for the 3 companies. In terms of their fees that they would charge are all very similar. Some a little more on their paralegal, some a little less. Given that and given the experience of the various companies, the ones that have the most employees that are dedicated to municipal law only, that have backups in that field as opposed to a very small staff that would be understaffed in some cases. It was my recommendation that the firm to be chosen would be Kozloff Stout.
I'd like to ask the board to table this item. I just got my package near the end of the day. I haven't been able to review any of these law firms. And I don't know if everybody else has reviewed all 3 law firms, but I think we should. It's a very important decision we make. We know how bad it can be if you pick the wrong solicitor. So I ask the board at this time to table this agenda item.
I agree that we should definitely be able to meet with the solicitors to find out who's our match before we appoint anyone.
Okay, we will table this, but we need to get this done between now and next Monday so that we can make a decision. Okay, so the solicitor will be tabled until January 10th.
Okay, and Jeff will try and set up meetings for it.
I need, I can try and set up a meeting with the 3 groups and board members, but I need your input immediately of when you're available. So when I start calling these 3 firms tomorrow, I have some dates and times that they can try and get a representative to come in and meet with us. Okay.
So maybe we have to make sure that she has some evenings with Diana and
I
George.
mean, I can give you I'll look at my work calendar and email you tomorrow, Jeff, with my availability. If I don't have a meeting scheduled, I can make it work, so I'll give you those time slots. If you can do an evening, that's great too, but I don't know if that works for them. I don't know about George though, because I know he's also, works during the day, so.
Pretty confident we can identify a time.
Okay.
I have reviewed them, but sounds like there's enough of an appetite to wait, so.
Yeah, I looked over them too. I mean, I have some questions, but,
That sounds good, I'll make myself available.
I think it makes sense to wait, especially since some of the packets weren't given out until earlier today.
All right.
And I'm available anytime, Joe.
If all the board members could just
Sure.
email me their
I'll copy everybody
availability.
when I email my availability, so everyone sees what I'm saying, and then you can go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is professional consultant, township engineer, which is Great Valley Consultants, and Joe Rogowski is the recommended person.
I make a recommendation to appoint Joe Rogowski.
So all in favor, say aye. Professional consultant for building code official at Great Valley, Terry Noggle.
He's like Great Valley, but
Yeah.
I'm an aye.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
Fire code official, again, Great Valley Consultants, Terry Noggle.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Plumbing Inspector Brian Sands. There are no concerns? All in favor say aye.
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 And then Traffic Engineer Nahomes and Associates. All in favor say aye.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What does the traffic engineer do?
Typically, the traffic engineer is involved if there are traffic studies required for any subdivision plans. They review the traffic studies. They also have assisted us with grants for various projects involving traffic signalization, upgrades, things of that nature, and they help coordinate any traffic-related projects that go on in the township.
And the name of this person again?
Is
McMahon Associates.
Are these people, once we assign them, are they at will? We can change in the middle of the year if we...
It's my understanding that everybody is at will. Okay.
Okay, all right.
This is not a lifetime commitment. So McMahon Associates, everybody's in favor, say aye.
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 Vacancy Board Chairperson, this position is currently held by Mr. Hurley Miller. And it is my understanding that this person is chosen because they have no affiliation with anybody in the township.
I'd like to nominate someone who's in the room here. Okay, is Uri Miller here? No, he is not. So I'd like to nominate Jim Ruas. He's a businessman in Exeter Township. He's here today. And I recommend him for this position. It's a vacancy board chairperson that hopefully will never have to be activated. So Jim, you're willing to accept my nomination, are you?
I'd just like to hear what the responsibilities are before I would accept it.
If we could not meet in a certain period of time to agree on placing a new supervisor on the board, because they resigned or whatever, you would then go into action and preside over the board to pick the new township supervisor. It's a very rare thing. It would be one night out of your life, that's it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
And part of that is that if we're a board of 5, so if one person resigned, we would become a board of 4. So that means that we could end up in a 2-2 tie and a deadlock. You would be the person responsible for the deadlock.
Okay.
Seems reasonable, just to ask the question, you have no current affiliation with any other parts of this government?
Do I?
That's the question, please.
None. Other than I'm a township resident and I come to the meetings.
Perfect. Seems like a good criteria.
Okay, so if that's the case, then all in favor of Jim, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir, for being willing to do that.
It's Ruoff with F's, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next is staff.
Vacancy board, now we have planning commission.
Planning commission.
Zoning hearing board.
Right. So the current person serving on the planning commission has expressed an interest to continue through another term. That's Jeff Anderton.
Can I speak?
Absolutely.
Chairman, Mr. Anderton has attacked me in social media. He has attacked this board when you guys revoked the Homestead Act, as you know. And there's another person in the room who I would like to nominate for this position instead of Jeff Anderton, and that is Ted Gardella. He's here today, and I think hopefully he'll accept the nomination, and we can place him on the planning board. He's very well experienced. He can tell you about his resume if you like, but he's here. I don't see Jeff Anderton anywhere, so.
I'd like to hear him state his qualifications, if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
I did bring a copy of my resume.
That's great, thank you. I know your name, I don't know anything about you. Thank you so much. Dave probably doesn't need mine for this.
Mr. Garland, if you could go to the mic and just kind of talk about your background a little bit.
Can you make it?
Yep, I can. Ted Gardello, 218 Pennsylvania Avenue. I've been here in Exeter for 7 years, and my background is in management and education. I currently serve with the College Board, which is the organization that administers advanced placement exams and the SAT and PSAT exams throughout the country. I've been with the board for 11 years, managed a team for the Midwest region, and then I worked in the New York office for 3 years with the advanced placement program, and then currently managing the Michigan team for implementation of the SAT, PSAT, and advanced placement as well. Prior to that, I was a local district superintendent in 2 districts in Michigan, and have a lot of experience with management and managing teams. And one of my districts had a $66 million budget, the other had a $16 million budget, and I was responsible for all operations in the district, including plans for either bond issues or any kind of construction issues or maintenance issues in those 2 districts. Happy to answer any questions about my background. 2 kids, lovely wife. She has a business here in Exeter. So,
I'm just curious, I'm impressed with everything that you've had to say in your resume as well. What made you want to be part of the planning commission?
Well, I think I'd be very interested in trying to bring some innovation to land use and really understanding what kinds of developments that the community would really like to see. So I'd like to see some innovative ideas about land use.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have none, thank you.
George?
No, I'm okay, thanks for speaking.
Thank you.
Can appoint him, or you could ask for additional people that might want to apply. It's up to the board.
So would you guys like to see more people, or are you okay with Mr. Gardella?
I'm okay with
I'm
it.
fine with that.
I'd like to see what innovative, new ideas he can bring. And we need some.
I mean, I'm interested in some new, maybe experience and what someone new might bring to it. So I could definitely be in favor of it.
I agree with that, especially the preparation you've shown this evening. It's appreciated. Not the easiest thing to do, to stand up and roll through your credentials. So thank you for doing that.
So all those in favor of Mr. Gardello, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Gardello, for being willing to do this.
Thank you very much.
I think we have one more. Glenn Powell, I think there's 2 of them, isn't there?
There is.
Aren't there 2 that need to be appointed?
Yeah,
2
Mr.
spots?
Powell,
Yeah.
Lynn R. Powell.
You're right.
Mr. Chair,
So,
can I just ask a question quick? I'll look at my online.
Vincent Bianconi, 3609 Perkins Avenue. So the biggest thing is you just didn't appoint Jeff mainly because he didn't agree with Hughes, and he questioned Hughes, and he made comments that he didn't agree with Hughes. That's pretty sad. Not every resident, and just because he's on the planning commission doesn't mean he has to agree with everything that the board does. Nobody does. So you just cut him out, and not saying that he's not qualified or anything like that, but you picked to replace Jeff over Glenn only because Hughes has a problem with him. That's the ugliness that's going to start in this township.
okay, I appreciate your comments, but I want to say that there were 4 other people that also participated in that vote, and Mr. Hughes did not make that decision on his own. What he did is recommend that we entertain potentially another person.
Thank you.
And I can tell you, speaking for myself, which I seem to have to do a lot, I didn't make my decision based on what Mr. Hughes said. I made my decision based on what Mr. Gottel had to say.
The biggest thing, no, you replaced Jeff instead of Glenn.
No, we still have to appoint,
But we haven't finished with,
we haven't finished yet.
Carl,
Mr. Gentleman has his hand up.
can I just,
And while he's walking up there, can I say something? There's nothing wrong with any of us on the Board of Supervisors basing our decisions on what other supervisors says, okay? And that's, I think, allowable in the United States still, isn't it?
as far as I know.
Yeah.
Sir, state your name.
Gerald Weinsteiger, 32 Sagebrook Drive. And I just want to let you know that previously when the last gentleman, was it Mr. Mel, resigned and went to the school board, the next day I sent my resume with letter of interest to the township supervisor for that planning commission seat that was open. And I have not heard anything on that. And I have 6 years previous planning commission experience in the Borough Valley. I was on Borough Council for 4 years, and I have over 50 years experience in the engineering field. So I thought I would be a good fit for when he resigned to assume his, but I didn't see that on the agenda to fill his spot.
Probably didn't see it on the agenda because I wasn't aware. I don't think anyone on the Board of Supervisors was aware.
But he makes a good point, because Jason Mel did resign, and I don't think we're filling his position.
Right, we have not done Jason L's position,
Yeah.
so it's not on the agenda at this point.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I did send something to the township supervisor.
Can you tell me your name again? I'm sorry.
Gerald Weinsteiger,
Okay, thanks.
I'm using at least one.
if you can spell that.
I'll give it a good go.
It's a good
Irish name.
So you submitted it to the township supervisor?
I did. The very next day when I saw that the board accepted his resignation, the next day I sent it.
Jeff, do you have that to share with us?
You have that, we had not brought that up to the board, because
Understood.
typically when someone resigns, we bring it up to the board and ask what they would like to do, would they like to advertise it. We received that immediately,
Okay.
and there was no request or anything from the planning director to say, hey, can you get this on the agenda?
Okay.
So, we do have that, but again, it was something that happened right away, and, we have it
Sure.
holding it right
Understood.
now.
I appreciate you pointing that out to us, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, reappointing Glenn Powell to a 22 to 24 term. Are there any questions or comments?
The only comment I have on that is I did read his letter of interest, which I did appreciate, where he stated, what he has done and what he would like to do. And so I thought that was, at least gave me some information on the man. So not knowing anything about the people that are on the planning commission, so.
Okay. So all in favor of Mr. Powell being appointed to another term from 2022 to 24, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is zoning hearing board, resolution appointing John Mikulski to the zoning board.
Remember saying that I did, the rest of the board were, willing to.
He is in fact the chair for what it's worth, to my understanding anyway.
Say that again, George?
I believe he's the chairman for what it's worth.
That was it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Not a great job.
Are there any other comments or concerns?
Since this is a resolution, you need a motion in a second.
Okay. So I need a motion to reappoint John Mikulski to the zoning hearing board.
I'll make that motion.
Michelle makes the motion.
I'll second it.
George second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, Mr. Mikulski's there. So now we go to administrative. The resolution appointing LTL Consultants, LTD, as sewage enforcement officer and alternative sewage enforcement officer.
I'll make that motion.
This position, LTL has currently been serving in this position. We're satisfied with their work. Their fees are reasonable, and they typically are very responsive, getting out there for sewer enforcement activities. This only applies to on-lot septic systems. This does not deal with the public sewer system, which is not within the control of the township. And it's mostly in the more rural areas. And much of the fees that are charged, majority of it is reimbursed directly back by the property owner that needs assistance out at the site.
Okay. So Michelle made a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Resolution approving the 2022 fees for Township Sewage Enforcement Officer, LTL Consultants.
Again, these fees are in line with what they had been. These also need to be forwarded on to DEP to make them aware of what the fees are in case there's any question. For someone that has a problem with them, reports it to DEP.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Michelle, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? A resolution appointing Michelle R. Pointnoff, Esquire, as solicitor for the limited purpose of collecting delinquent and overdue accounts. Any comments?
We had discussed this previously with the board, gave the board their materials, their information. It's pretty self-explanatory. This position normally needs to be done by resolution.
Right. Motion to make this appointment?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Diana and second by Michelle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution designating First National Bank as a depository for township funds.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion by Michelle, I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution appointing the Tax Claim Bureau of Berks County as a delinquent tax collector.
I'll make that motion.
Michelle made the motion. Anybody want to second?
That's fine, I'll second.
George is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution appointing Tri-State Financial Group LLC as business privilege tax collector. Assume they're doing a good job.
Well, they have been doing a good job. They've actually, since we had switched over to them, they have been much more aggressive on their collection efforts. And they do occasionally get audits done of various companies to make sure that they are paying their fair share for the tax rate.
Okay. So I'll make that motion to have Tri-State Financial Group be the business privilege tax collector.
I'll second it.
There's been motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 2022 voting delegate to PSAT, the PSAT's convention.
I nominate Paul Staples.
Okay. It's been nominated, motion's been made or nominated for Carl Staples. Are there anyone else?
I saw in the past precedent, it seems like it's the supervisor that gets, that's what happened last year anyway. Can it be the township manager, or is it customary to be?
It's good for a supervisor to go up because they have a lot of classes.
And we're talking April timeframe?
Yeah, we're talking the April convention for PSAT.
This is the April convention. Typically, it is a township supervisor. Last year, because of COVID, they had a abbreviated conference, and the board authorized me Since I was going anyway to deal with the resolutions committee, I was going to be there. So I was able to do both functions. But in most municipalities, it is one of the supervisors that's the voting delegate.
All right.
And you have capacity to go, Carl, in April?
I do.
I'll second Carl.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And 2022 alternate voting delegate to PSAT's convention.
Do we have anyone that's interested in it?
And what do they do? Just go if you can't go?
If Pete has to vote.
If I'm not able to vote, then they can vote.
Gotcha.
Being new supervisors, I would suggest that you go
Right.
if you can.
Yeah. David, are you going to the convention?
No.
No? Okay. Jeff, are you going?
If the board authorized me to go, yes. Okay. I mean, in the event you can't go, it is an important function. Each township gets one vote.
Right.
And there are a number of resolutions that are put forth by PSATs that help with lobbying efforts in Harrisburg that look out for the welfare of second-class townships. PSATs is the parent organization that we belong to that governs over all these second-class townships, which is the largest number of governing groups in the state of Pennsylvania are second-class townships. We fall in the category of a very large second-class township. There are many, many townships that have less than 500 people in their township, but we all get one vote. And it is important to get our say out there to our legislators in Harrisburg. Right.
Well, it's a good way to meet other supervisors.
Right.
So they went work together.
Are you able to go to the convention?
So I intend to go. It was only a work reason that can evolve during the tax holiday, which is a peak busy time.
Yep.
Why I was resistant to saying, but for the purpose of alternate voting delegate, let's say I'll go.
Okay. So George Weaver, alternate. All right, that takes us through the appointments. Is there any new business that we need to talk about at this point?
I did not receive any from the board. I did place that on there in the event that there was a need to have any new business items addressed at this meeting, since it is a public meeting.
All right. This time we will move to public comments and the general non-agenda items. The first person that signed up is Vincent Bianconi.
Good evening, Vincent Bianconi, 3609 Perkins Avenue. So I got a little list here. Normally I know you normally keep to 3 minutes and I will do my best, but if I run over, I don't think it'll be an issue.
We'd
So-
like to keep it as close to 3 as possible. Okay.
I will try. I will try. When they're going on for 12, I'm not planning on that. So the biggest thing I want to talk to you, the supervisors, is the Promenade project. That is, I know Mr. Hughes is not a fan of, but there are 4 others
It's
of you.
dead.
There are 4 others of you. You don't have the full say, sir. You don't. You need to just realize you have 4 other people on the board that you need to respect, which you do not. So the Promenade project is not a need. I mean, it's not a want, it is a need. We need this. If you talk to any of the fire departments, which I encourage all the new supervisors to do, talk to the fire departments. Go and explore those buildings. Go to the police. Go for a tour there. The conditions are horrible. We are out of room, and any money spent here is a waste of money. Now, if this golf course is the jewel of the township, as he has said many times, what would help it? This property right here. And we own it, so we can decide what goes here. Like a little hotel or a 55 and older community. We have no 55. I know as a supervisor, I was asked all the time, there's no 55 and older community. There's a lot of people who want to retire here, but there's no place to go. Think of a little high-rise. That could support the golf, that could support the township, that could support a restaurant. So there's a lot of things that can be done with this property that makes it 10 times worth more than up at the Promenade. All right, so, and also, we also have a gift from Pat Mascaro. Pat Mascaro is offering, is going to donate $1 million towards the new fire station. Also, he's going to head up a committee, so there's almost $2.5 million that he's promising to give to our fire department. That's $2.5 million we don't have to spend it all. That's a gift. You can't let that go. All right. So, in the interest of that, I don't want any more of our tax dollars wasted. So, Mr. Hughes, the driveway in front of my house was put in before I was a supervisor. Nothing was done here in the township. If you want to know why it was put up, go contact PennDOT. You can contact the lawyer that we had write it up. All that stuff. It wasn't done on the taxpayer of Exeter residents' dime. It was done because I had no way to access my house. If you knew anything about it, but I don't want you wasting the township resources going and trying to find and go looking around and go snooping around. You want to go? Call PennDOT. Okay? Everything was done legally through a lawyer without any issues. You want to keep pushing it, you're going to lose. All right? The supervisors, my other thing is, it is not your job to be township manager. Okay? There's a ton of employees, but you should go through the township manager. Yes, you might be his boss, but it's not your job to come in and disrupt their daily operations, which is a fear that I have that Mr. Hughes is going to do. He's already giving a list to, I'm sure, Jen Savage, but he has no respect for anybody. He's been constantly bashing on Jen, constantly bashing on when Jack was on the board, the solicitor. No wonder she didn't want to come back. I wouldn't have either. Let's see. Diane, I see you're fighting to be your own voice, and I applaud that. I think you should try and separate and be your own voice as much as possible. The reason why people keep lumping you is because he was doing that for you, okay? He blocked Jack Pieho from getting onto the committee.
Wait a second.
So he could put you on.
I don't want him to put words in my mouth, okay?
Whatever. You can
Stick
wait.
with facts, or stop it.
Well,
Appropriate?
yeah, it is.
So then you gotta wrap it up, though.
All right.
So we can attack supervisors now, right?
Well, you didn't defend the solicitor, you guys didn't defend Jen Savage, you didn't defend any of your employees against you.
Okay. Is that it?
That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Tom Howell is next up. Thanks. That's all right.
That was part of my act. Tom Howe, Post Office Box 4635. I'll cover this right now. If you guys remember the library, I made it a point that you guys are going to follow the law. This is, I'm sorry, copies are 25 cents a copy now, so I can't afford to give copies to the audience. If you were here for the December 27th meeting, it was at that time that you voted or brought up that instead of $1.5 million, it would be $2 million. The solicitor stated on the one page there, you see what the instructions that the solicitor gave the board. And at the end, if you read the highlighted, it says, then Jeff will have to post that on the township website afterwards as a revised agenda item. That hasn't been done on the website. The only thing that's on the website that I can find is the original agenda. That statement I just read says there's supposed to be a revised agenda stating the $2 million. If you look at the resolution, it doesn't take that much to change that. So why wasn't it posted? There was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and all day today. it should have been changed, because the public, this is an important amount, and this is the public's money. And they don't know, or somebody else informed them, and it's your responsibility to reform. The other is, everybody in this room has lived in Exeter Township long enough to know the problems we have and have some opinions on the township. I think it's extremely important that all the public, the 19,000 to 20,000 adults, have a voice in what's going on in Exeter Township. I don't believe that this occurred in the last years that I've been here. If you look at the number of seats on this side of the room, it's 25. And it's been that way for a long time. This building was built in 1967. There's no reason why we can't go somewhere where we can have at least 100 seats. You might be surprised who shows up. The other deal is, there's no system for people to voice their opinion in such a way that they feel important and that their concerns are valid. It's hit or miss. The same with the right to know. The person who fills out that form is the only person that gets that information, and a lot of that information can be posted on the website, and it's not. The other comment I'll have, a house divided falls. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. I would like to make one comment back, and that is I believe you're right when it comes to sitting down and really helping people to understand what it is we're all about and what we're doing. And I think that more information needs to go out there, and I will be following up with Mr. Bartlett on that change that should have been made, and then we'll make sure that it happens right away. Thank you.
Could I make a statement? I wanted to say it when I was being sworn in, but I'd like to say it now. I'm very privileged and humbled to be on this board. I have worked for 3 years, for 40 hours a week or more, for 3 years. I've devoted myself to exposing the problems that we have here. Now, when I started doing this in November of 2018, the first thing that I discovered, thanks to Mr. Carl Schemberg, who passed away recently, was that the township supervisor, who also was the chairman of the board, her and her household never paid the per capita taxes. So they cheated the township and they cheated the school district. And the board, including this man here who was talking, said, that's okay, she doesn't take her salary, so we can let that go. Well, no, that's not right. So come full circle, 3 years later, I finally get on the board, and what do? We have a supervisor, David Spees, who resigns in disgrace, suborning fraud in our township. And the cycle keeps going on and on and on. And that's why I'm here, to stop this type of stuff. And that's why people attack me all the time, because I'm looking for these type of things, and there's a certain way we need to run the township. And I have some ideas, I have some plans that we could implement. I'm not coming here just to complain. I have plans to fix things. Will I get to fix those things? I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are against me. They want things to stay the same, and there's a reason why they want them to stay the same. I ran to stop the promenade because I felt it was an overreach for this community to spend. Well, look, they had a vision, okay, but like Will Rogers says, a vision without a plan, and they never presented a plan, is just an hallucination. They could never tell us how much it would cost after 3 years. 40 million, depending on the scope of the project they would agree on, it would be 40 million to 70 million dollars. Now look, I spent a lot of time in Costa County. I know how to figure these things out, and I know other accountants would come to the same conclusion. So it's just not in our township's ability financially to do this kind of thing. We'd get rid of our reserves, you know, and then we'd have to really raise taxes, okay? So there are other ways to approach this, and there's multiple ideas that I have. I'll share with the board, and I'll share with the public. Some of the things I've already mentioned on my website. So I'm going to work hard to try to get things fixed here. I don't know if I can, because they don't want them fixed, frankly. And I just want everyone to know that I will continue to work hard to do this. I have no agenda. I have no personal agenda, okay? I could be off partying and running around the world and having fun if it wasn't for COVID. But I'm here to help our community. So I pledged that tonight in front of you. That's why I wanted to take my vows in front of the township, and you know what I said. So, thank you.
Thank you, David. And we're happy to have you part of the team. Next, for public comment is Ted Gardello.
Good evening again, Ted Gardello, 218 Pennsylvania Avenue. I did want to talk just a little bit about an issue that came up at the last meeting about the use of the Promenade property as a temporary bus garage for the Exeter Township School District. I believe there must be much more information shared about any such proposal. If you're going to store buses on a vacant lot, how will they be fueled? If they're going to be fueled by mobile units, who will be responsible for the increased liability regarding possible fuel spills and any potential environmental problems as a result of this? Currently, there's been conversation at school board meetings about a lack of sanitary facilities for the drivers. How are you going to manage that on an empty lot? How will the township monetize such a proposal? With increasing tax levels from both the township and the potential for increased school taxes, there could be increased burden on the community, and yet there's a one hand washes the other with respect to using the Promenade property on a temporary basis. It's unfathomable that a construction proposal was developed for over $4 million by the school district without a plan for where to house their school buses during the transition period. And I don't think it's the township's duty to rescue the school district from poor planning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gardello. Excellent point, and something that you should know that the board has not agreed to do anything at this point except to entertain the opportunity, the idea. All right, so there will be much more information to come out prior to any final decision being made.
Thank you.
In fact, at the next meeting, Jeff, that's on there for next meeting, I think.
We're hoping to have information from the school district at the next meeting.
Next person up is David Ball.
Hi, David Vollmer, 335 South Baumstown Road. I'm one of the newest auditors for Exeter Township. I got to meet most of these last week. I didn't get to meet Mr. Bell. But I just want to tell you, myself and John Dubuck, he's one of the other auditors, and also Jesse Hodge, we're ready to work with you guys and provide value. In the past, the auditors have been not allowed to do anything. But I have a packet for you. It's 231 pages of what the auditors can and can't do with a CPA involved. So I'd like to give all of you that, just so you have that information.
Just a little light reading, right?
Yeah, just a little light. But tomorrow is our reorganization meeting, and I would urge and I would love for all the supervisors to come to that, because I think we can work together in harmony here. And
Where do you meet at?
Here. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
Just, do you have that electronically?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And then, yes, so I'll discuss a lot more of that tomorrow, but I have a hard copy for everybody if you want it. But if you don't, that's okay too. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 7.
Can I say something about what Dave mentioned? I talked to Dave about this and John. I've known John now for a couple of years. I went to the very first audit committee meeting when I could do it, and I tried to get on the audit committee, but no one would do that for me. But I think that we underutilize the audit committee. We've got a committee, we've got 3 people that are on it, and there's a whole bunch of things I would like them to investigate for us from an audit standpoint, okay? And they're willing to do it, and I think we'll be different than every other township by using the audit committee to do work and come back and report to the board of their findings. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that, you know, it's imperative, if possible, for us to be here tomorrow night to really meet with the audit committee and have some real serious conversation about the direction that we would like to see and what they can possibly do to help us go forward.
Agreed.
So I agree wholeheartedly. Let me just say this before I ask for an adjournment, is that while Mr. Hughes, or David, actually kind of pointed out that I was appointed, but that makes me no less committed to doing my job as a board supervisor. And as a matter of fact, I think I had to work equally as hard to get on this board. And so what I'm interested in is doing the right thing for Exeter Township, period. You know, I've been here for 20 plus years myself, and I've seen a lot of things just like Dave is talking about, and we're going to straighten those things and go in the right direction. So thank you very much for being here tonight. I would hope that more people, if we can find a bigger space, more people will show up, and we can have conversations and talk to each other and not have debates or arguments. Because that's the way that you get things done, is through conversation and being willing to listen to all people's point of view before we make a decision. So thank you very much. If there's a motion to adjourn, I will entertain it. Okay, motion has been made to adjourn. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, that's why I canceled that.
Good, how you be?
Credit, I'll take it.